The title is...
Little boy doing math problems.
Okay.
On New Year's Eve.
Oh.
Just that story.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you guys.
Okay. Well, we're going to narrate.
We're the narrators.
Are we it?
I'm little boy.
Where's your book, Jesse? Your books.
And it's going to take a shoot. And your shoes.
Sorry.
We were. Yes.
And if you know the story,
He has to be cold, so.
based on the little matchstick girl. Okay. Most terribly cold it was. It snowed and was nearly quite dark an evening, the last evening of the year. In this cold and darkness there went along the street a poor little boy, bareheaded and with naked feet. When he left home, he had slippers on, it is true, but what was the good of that? They were very large slippers, which his mother had hitherto worn. So large were they, and the poor little thing lost them as he scuffled away across the street, because of two carriages that rolled by dreadfully fast.
One slipper was nowhere to be found. The other had been laid hold of by an urchin, and off he ran with it. He thought it would do capitally for a cradle when he someday or other should have children himself. So the little boy walked on with his tiny naked feet, and they were quite red and blue from the cold. He carried a complex variables book in his hands, and he held a bundle of scratch paper. Nobody had asked him to solve a complex analysis problem the whole night. No one had given him a single penny.
He knocked on one of the doors.
Knock, knock.
Sir, do you have any complex problems for me to do? 1 cent for 2 problems.
Sorry, I don't do analysis. I do combinatorics.
As the lady passed by, he asked,
Excuse me, ma'am. Oh.
Yes.
Do you have any complex problems for me to do? 1 cent for 2 problems.
No, everyone is doing econ now. Who does math anymore? He crept along, trembling with cold and hunger. From all the windows, the candles were gleaming, and it smelled so deliciously of roast goose. For you know, it was New Year's Eve.
in a corner formed by 2 houses, he seated himself down and cowered together. He drawn his little hands close up to him, but he grew colder and colder. He could not go home because he had not made any money doing math problems tonight. He could not bring back a penny. From his father, he would certainly get blows, and at home it was cold too.
His hands were almost numb with cold. A complex problem might afford him a world of comfort if he only dared solve a single one out of the book. He opened the book.
Integrate sine z over z along the unit circle. Well, since sine z over z can be extended into the entire complex plane, I can use cos-u-gor-za.
He solved it, as if he was sitting right next to a warm, bright flame, like a candle, as he held his hands over it. It was a wonderful light. The little boy had already stretched out his feet to warm them too, but the small flame vanished. He had only the already solved problems in his hand.
He decided to do another one.
Integrate exp of z over z to the 4th plus 1 along a circle with radius more than 1. Hope that one's not up. Oh, I can use the Cauchy integral formula. Amazing.
This time he felt even warmer. The light fell on the wall, and there the wall became transparent, like a veil, so that he could see into the room. On the table was spread a snow-white tablecloth. Upon it was a splendid porcelain service, and the roast goose was steaming famously with its stuffing of apple and dried plums. And what was still more capital to behold was the goose hopped down from the dish, reeled about on the floor with knife and fork in its breast, till it came up to the poor little boy.
And he did another problem.
Integrate log z around the unit circle?
time, he was sitting under the most magnificent Christmas tree. It was still larger and more decorated, but it suddenly was all gone.
The lights of the Christmas tree rose higher and higher. He saw them now as stars in heaven. One fell down and formed a long trail of fire.
Oh, because I can't apply Cauchy's formula for this one, for the log function in the complex plane is multi-valued.
He started yet another problem. There was again light and flame, and in the light there stood Cauchy, so bright and radiant. Such an expression of love.
Cauchy! Oh, take me with you. You will go away when I finish this problem. You will vanish like the warm flame, like the delicious roast goose, and like the most magnificent Christmas tree.
Oh, and he started to do all the problems and complex variables as quickly as he could, for he wanted to be quite sure of keeping Cauchy near him. The problems gave him a brilliant light, and it was brighter than noonday. Never formerly had Cauchy been so tall. He took the little boy on his arm and flew in brightness and in joy so high, so very high, and when his love was neither cold, nor hungry, nor anxiety, they were with God.
But in the corner, at the cold hour of dawn, sat the poor boy, with rosy cheeks and with a smiling mouth, leaning against the wall, frozen to death on the last evening. Stiff and stark sat the child there with his complex variables book and a bunch of scratch papers.
He wanted to warm himself up, people said. No one had the slightest suspicion of what beautiful things he had seen. No one even dreamed of the splendor in which, with Cauchy, he had entered on the joys of a new year.